Hey everybody, this is Kim from Read It Again Bookstore, and today I'm talking to Stacy Flood about his novella, The Salt Fields. Hey Stacy.
Hello.
Hi. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Stacy Flood. I live up in the Seattle area, and I've been here about 20 years. I am a playwright as well, and very happy to be here and to have the Salt Fields as my first novella that's been published. I'm originally from Buffalo, New York, and let's see, I have also been fortunate enough to have studied film at the University of Buffalo, as well as creative writing down in San Francisco State University, where I taught for a little while. In addition, I had a Getty Fellowship from the Squaw Valley Community of Writers. I did DISQUIET over in Lisbon, and I've been awarded some other fellowships as well, particularly the Millay Colony of the Arts.
Very cool. Okay. You mentioned playwright. I could
Mhm.
totally see The Salt Fields as a play.
I never envisioned it as such
Yeah.
until I started working on more of the readings of it and things like
Mhm.
that. I just when I first started out, it was always designed to be a novella. I thought of it in that sense.
Yeah.
There are some playwriting elements that definitely come into the form itself.
Mhm.
But yeah, I did not see it as being a play. That's so
Oh yeah,
interesting.
I'm like, because I'm a visual person, and just them on the train car, I think that could be duplicated as a play really well. Because what and I think there's other people on the train car, but you only focus on these four people.
Yeah.
Like you only mentioned like one other time, like maybe like children in the aisles, and I was
Hmm.
like, because I thought they were by themselves, but they weren't by themselves. Like the entire focus is just on these four people.
And I want to get that feeling too. Like it's just
Yeah.
that just them being together, everything being compact, just being them and their
Mhm.
world and how they're experiencing the journey, how they're experiencing the travels, how they're experiencing all of this, just as part of just being their environment. There are other things, there are other elements. There's a train
Mhm.
noise. There's the other people. There are the other pieces of luggage that are around and things like
Yeah.
that. But really, the focus is on how
On
these
them.
four people interact with each other and what happens in their journey up north.
Now, how are they? Are they sitting in front of each other or side by side?
Facing each other.
Facing, oh,
So two,
facing,
two to two.
oh, yeah. Huh. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
Anyway, tell us a little bit about the salt fields.
Sure. So it takes place in 1947. It's about a group of four people coming up from the north during the Great
Mhm.
Migration. They're coming up from South Carolina up to the New York area, and it's about what happens on that travel on that journey from them.
So, beautifully written. I feel like this should be
Yeah.
taught in school. Is it? Have you had any teachers approach you yet? Because this would be perfect.
No, thank you. That's
Yeah.
thanks. That'd be great. I did do something with the San Francisco State
Uh-huh.
as well, which is their writer program. So, which is again fantastic to have that opportunity
Yeah.
to share with that group of students and really delve into it a bit more. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I wouldn't actually enjoy a class where we spent a few weeks just diving into this and pulling it apart and talking about it. I would. It would work really well. Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
thank you.
We're getting a phone call. There we go. I don't know if you can hear that. It needs to go away.
No,
Uh
I can.
okay.
I can.
Okay.
I can.
So we were talking before we started about the importance, why you like the structure of a novella. Can we talk about that some
Hmm.
more?
Sure. Again, just love the structure itself, not just the compact nature of it, which of course is a benefit
Mhm.
for some, but as well how it chooses to actually describe a theme, how it chooses to stay focused on a theme in a certain manner, and in doing so, how it really does bring out what's important in certain thematic elements and certain portions of it being then focused so much on what it is that the author wanted to express. I think that is something as a form, um, just the nature of it. It's really tight, compact narrative.
Mhm.
The tight, compact descriptions, oftentimes that it has, as in a novella. What's not shown is just as important as what's shown.
Mhm.
How it can keep a tone and keep a feel, oftentimes all the way through.
Mhm.
I think that's just. I mean, I would have to say all my favorite longer works have been novellas. When I think about the impact that it has had on my writing, and the ones that I go back to over and over and over again, it's mostly been novellas.
Like what? What do you go back to over and over again?
Virginia Woolf, To the Lighthouse, so many times. I mean, it's just one of those books that you just pick up off the shelf, pick up any passage and read it, and just be mesmerized by it. I mean, it's just magical. It just feels so fantastic. As well, of course, Toni Morrison, any of her works. Yeah, Nella Larson, any of hers, Jeanette Winterson. I think that Camus, right? Orwell. Even when I started out, even as when I was younger, the first novella that I really gravitated towards was Frankenstein. Right?
Yeah.
And just in that, like the theme that it does bring out, in such a small amount of pages and small text, just was fascinating to me. So all of those authors, I think, have been ones that really had an impact. And of course, Fitzgerald. I have to throw him in there. William Maxwell's "So Long, See Tomorrow" being another one that's been one that I go back to again and again.
Where did you get the story for the salt fields?
Well, my grandparents made the journey. So they made the journey up from South Carolina up to the Buffalo, New York area. But as well, a lot of their stories that they told, and a lot of people who actually made that journey as well, those narratives, in addition to what wasn't said. So I want to make sure that stayed in the book as well. There were some things that happened, and some things that were left behind, and I wanted to have to focus on just as much as what was told as what was left. I think that both of those really had that impact on what it was that they were hoping for when they made that journey, what their aspirations were, or what their fears were, and just what how those hopes manifested themselves.
I like it. And I asked you earlier, I mean, have you ridden the train? Like
not that long distance though. Not nearly that long of a distance. I rode trains stuff in Europe as well. Shorter trains here in the United States. Yeah. But I was just like the idea of how the landscape does go past, certain how time seems elongated when you're on a train. And how it does seem like there's just so many things that are happening, so many things that are going on that just kind of stop when you're inside that car. That car becomes its own separate small little world. And then you just kind of go through it. Yeah, and you're watching the train go by.
What are you working on now?
My next novella. So we're working on that one. And it's fun. If you would have asked me a couple months ago, I would have known, because my structure usually is to I write longhand.
Really?
Yeah. At least the first draft has to be longhand, and I usually will use one of those 3-ring notebooks, those binders, 3-ring spiral notebooks, and I have to fill up at least one section of it. Until I start. So if I don't have one section filled, then I won't start on it. And to me, it's just like a half-filled idea, something like that. And I do have many of those sitting around that just maybe a few pages, something like that just I never picked up. So finally, I got to a set time where I filled up one section. I'm like, okay, now I know I can start. Right? And there were other incidents as well that just told me, okay, I can start on this. So working on that now, working on the next one. But as well, just happy, of course, to see what else comes up. Also, a couple of plays that I have coming up in the fall that I am working on revising those as well.
Very cool. So did your grandparents talk about the Great Migration?
Very little.
Yeah.
So when talking about it, though, they would talk about certain instances and they would talk about certain things, but it wouldn't really be as pronounced. But oftentimes they would also talk about it in concert with other things, right? Okay. Or they'd mention it as far as other things that happened, or small parts or fragments of other stories. And I wanted to make sure I kept that as well. The idea that this being a fragment of something else that was larger. For this character, it's a large portion of this character's focus in the novella. But in general, for them, it was that journey that represented what was to come next in their lives. That huge change in their lives. Oftentimes
anticipation and
and often with the design of not going back.
Right?
But it wasn't the plan of ever going back. So the idea of how they would focus on what they'd come to and also what they left behind, and what they chose to focus on that they left behind, what they chose to forget about.
I like how when when the story starts, your main character, he doesn't think about what he's going to do. He's just like, I'm doing it. And then he
Yeah,
leaves. But you don't write down his thoughts where I'm going to get on this train and I'm going to go and I'm going to live a different life and it's going to be different. He just is like, you can have my house and I'm going,
I'm going. Yeah,
going.
yeah, and so many. I think that there's sometimes the impression that most of the reasons for leaving were just economic, right?
Mm-hmm.
But every person, it seemed like they had a different reason, right? And there wasn't a grand narrative about why people would leave. They would leave for hope, for different, just a different situation altogether. They would leave for family. They would leave for, of course, work. But there's just been so many other reasons that they would actually make that trip, make that journey.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, I think that I wanted to make sure that I had these different characters represented some different perspectives on it too.
I liked when Lana was talking about it was Lana, right? Yeah, because
It is.
after the actress, did she name herself or I liked her talking about going to Harlem, and I could see her in a jazz club in Harlem.
And
Yeah.
it's just those aspirations, right? At the North representing something new, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something different, something that was more opportunity that there
Mm-hmm.
being there, right? Or at least the impression that there would be, right? So yeah, there's just this idea of if I wanted to expand, I'd have to leave the South and go up to the North for that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's part of the people who made that journey had that impression as well.
And every time they got off the train, I get really stressed. I'm like,
That's what
how do
people
you
have been saying. People like, stay on the train. Stay like,
stay
what do you
on
do?
the train?
Stay on the train. But yeah, but
But I
even in
guess
the sections,
go ahead.
no, so even in the sections where I had them leave the train, I wanted to still keep that
Yeah.
closed feeling of the community there. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I just like, how do you know when it's gonna leave? Like they didn't sound it like, oh, we got time, and I'm like, ah. And then, oh, I forgot what I was gonna say. I liked it when they go and have dinner at the house, and it's filled with family, and it just seems so beautiful and magical. But then once you left that property, it was scary.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean that just that one little area there, right? That one little
this
that
little
one.
Eden.
Yeah, yeah, and then they're like, but there's always that feeling though that there's something could go wrong, right? Something could happen, and then when that journey back, there's that ominous presence as well.
Yeah, because it was I wanted to move in. That sounded like a beautiful place. And I see you writing that because he could have stayed, but the property was like Eden, and it was in hostile territory. So once you leave, it doesn't mean that Eden's going to be safe. Yeah, I love that part. It was because I like reading, um, like magical type books. I can,
Mhm.
and I felt like he just stepped in, and he was in his own little piece of heaven, and then he's like, "Do I leave? Do I stay?" I
Yeah,
don't think it. I don't think he actually thought about leaving. I mean, staying. But yeah,
but again, I think that also offers a question about like the decision that he makes, right? What is it that he's looking for?
yeah,
If this area was just so something that he could enjoy.
yeah. Gosh, because I like even though you focus on four people and you feel like that is their world, then they step into this like, oh, it's like, oh, in the labyrinth when she goes into the bubble world and everybody's dancing around her. That's what it reminded me of.
Exactly, but it's just her, and then he goes to the next thing, and goes to the next thing.
Yeah,
Makes that odyssey in a sense, right? It's kind of going from the next location to the next location too.
and I also wonder like what happened to them when they went to go get the haircut because he came back so pissed.
Right,
Yeah,
and I wanted that to be as well as with the brother-in-law and some other sections too.
yeah.
That openness, right? That story that
Like,
we're
did
gonna
the
stay
brother-in-law
pretty
get
much.
home okay? Yeah.
We still have the and what I liked about keeping that open was because a lot of those stories
Mhm.
from the south where things would happen during the journey or in the area or coming up where there wasn't a resolution. They
Mhm.
just would know like something happened to this person and not know.
It's
There
before cell
there are
phones.
always that those conversations. There's those pieces of things where someone would come back and say, "Huh, what happened during that
What
conversation that
happened?
made someone so mad?" Right?
Yeah. I mean, he was bad enough to take out a gun.
Mm,
So I'm like,
mm.
what? what happened? And he's like, I hate him. I hate that type of person. So, and then
And
talk about
yeah,
yeah.
just the types as well. I want to focus on,
Hmm.
like, just to say, there's just this, even though they're together, right? They're very different people,
Hmm.
and sometimes with that happening, and if it weren't for this situation, how much would they really have been around each other,
Hmm.
or interacted with each other any other time? And does that oftentimes cause for some tension there? And I think that also something that comes up from playwriting as well,
Yeah,
like having
I can see
putting
that.
people inside a room and letting the tension happen.
Hmm. Yeah, awesome. So we talked about what you got going on next. You got a new novella you're working on.
I am.
Yeah, and you're working on some plays. Can you
Mm-hmm.
tell us a little bit about your plays? Maybe not the ones you've done.
Yes, the ones I've done. I've been really fortunate to have a lot of different ones done. I always try
Mhm.
to do something that's got like a little bit different. One was on video games,
Okay.
well, the video game industry, I should
Yeah.
say. Um, One was on justice and incarceration and justice in the Seattle
Hmm.
area, particularly, but just in the nation as well. I kind of focus on things like that.
Hmm.
One was looking at, again, one activity from different perspectives. The one that's coming up kind of has somewhat of a Jimi Hendrix focus, being
Hmm.
being his popularity nationwide, but also in the area.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I always wanted everything to be a little bit different. One had to do with drone warfare. Um,
Oh.
so so when I try to do certain plays, I think, again, what's inviting to me about it is looking into those different aspects, doing that research, finding out about how certain things, certain communities operate, and at the same time putting different personalities within those. So yeah, the plays themselves have a range that I'm happy
Hmm.
to have, because I think that everyone, I just wanted to be something that's a little bit different in length as well. Some of them
Yeah.
only been a few minutes, some of them been one acts, and some of them been full length productions.
So what do you enjoy writing more, the plays or the novellas?
They're both a little bit different.
Okay.
A little bit different. I think that novella gives you a chance to kind of immerse yourself in the language and the
Hmm.
poetics a little bit more. You can do that as well within plays in the stage direction and things, but not so much within the dialogue and the language itself. You want to make sure that that stays crisp and moves the narrative forward.
Hmm.
So I usually envision them separately, but I enjoy each. I really did enjoy each. I enjoy the idea of having that conversation between two people, two or three, or
Hmm.
even four, and how people can seem to talk around things to get to what they want. Characters can try to be manipulative, lie, um, misrepresent situations or whatever to get what they need or what they think that they need. So I think that's been fun. At the same time, with the novellas, it's been an opportunity to just delve into a world
Hmm.
and keep people within that world for a longer period of time, but also describe the impressions of each of those aspects of that world on those characters too.
Well, when you have a story, you have an idea. How do you decide if you're going to turn it into a novella or a play?
I kind of know. I mean,
Yeah.
it's one of those things where I have an idea and I think about it. I say, what's going to be the best format to tell this story?
Hmm.
And as I'm thinking about the story itself, say, is this something where I would need this character's internal thoughts? Do I need this character to really be reflective on what another person says
Hmm.
more? Or do I need, for in order to move the story forward, do I need perhaps a rapid fire dialogue? Do I need a lot of
Hmm.
back and forth? Do I need a lot of different impressions? Do I need characters to say things or not say things or avoid things in order to really move what the narrative is?
Hmm.
I did a play that happened with a lot of people being on Wall Street, essentially one night, one room. And these are characters who really wouldn't talk to each other because they don't trust each other
Hmm.
as much. But as the night goes on, they open up, or at least you see more of their fears, even
Hmm.
though they're still reluctant to show them. So that was never something where I was going to have a character come to the side and tell their own internal monologue or have them focus on what they see around them.
Hmm.
What they saw around them was just something that they would seem that to them would be pretty mundane, but the interactions between them is what they would be excited about and that they would be interested in. So that's when I consider that to be a play. But there's always again that opportunity when I think about, particularly when I've thought about doing more and more readings of that soft films. People say, well, maybe this can be both. Like,
Yeah.
I honestly did not see it as such until other people mentioned it. So
I
it was
see it as
great.
a play. Yeah, I would pay money to go see that play. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, totally. Totally. All right. Well, thank you, Stacy, for chatting with me today. We had
Thank
a fun.
you. It's
That
been
was a fun
fantastic fun.
conversation. I like that.
Yes.
So,
Thank you. Thank you so much.
how's the weather in Seattle today?
It's actually the typical regular overcast, but great.
Mm.
We're used to it here. It's not something that is.
You have to take extra vitamin D.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Or get out in it some way that you can. Like
Mhm.
the few sunny days that we do have, you try to enjoy those. But you also learn that whatever you're going to do, you're just going to do it in the rain because it
Yeah.
isn't like a downpour.
It's a
It
mist,
isn't
right?
something where like the storms where you get like perhaps like in Florida or
Mhm.
area or things like that, or even in the Northeast, really.
Mhm.
Nothing like that. It's like a slow drizzle, overcast all day. So if you want to play golf, you're gonna play it in the rain. You want to play tennis, you're gonna play it in the rain because it's not gonna stop. Not gonna
You're
let
just
up
gonna
until
be
you.
wet.
Yeah. Just go ahead and do it. Yeah, gonna go hiking. Fine,
Okay.
hiking's cool enough. You can do some hiking if you want to do that. So it doesn't impede us at all in doing anything. And it's just a regular old Seattle Sunday gray indoors reading or
Beautiful.
getting out day.
And we were talking. What are your favorite indie bookstores by you?
Oh my goodness, so many. There's Elliott Bay,
Mm.
fantastic bookstore. If you
Their
haven't,
green
if you
carpet.
Yep. Oh yeah, you
Famous
just got to
green
get up.
carpet.
You gotta get up there. Yeah, up on Cap Hill now. It's just again an amazing bookstore. Queen Anne Books,
Oh, I love them.
fantastic.
Super
Yeah,
cute.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They do so many fantastic things.
Mhm.
Secret Garden,
Mhm.
Brick and Mortar, which is out here in the Redmond area. Again, Third Place Books.
Yeah.
There's just so many.
So many.
Darville's if you're out on one of the islands. So this,
Harbor. Is it Eagle
yep,
Harbor?
Eagle Harbor. Yep,
Yeah.
there's a fantastic amount.
Oh,
We are very lucky that way to have so many great
you
indie
are.
bookstores.
I am so jealous. Although, like as a bookseller, it's kind of nice being in an area where there's not like 20 bookstores within walking distance. But the thing about bookstores is booksellers all get along, and we don't. The more bookstores in the area, the better it is.
And
You
I
know what I
will
mean?
easily go down. Yeah, I will easily take a day and go to as many of them as I possibly can.
Yeah.
Right,
Because then the
easily
area
take a day.
becomes known for reading, and then people take trips specifically there so they could go to all the bookstores.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, oh
Ah,
yeah, oh yeah. There's
love it.
Island Books on Mercer Island here.
Uh-huh.
Again, another fantastic bookstore. But I would just love just like if I'm coming back from on the I-90 corridor,
Yeah.
where we have between our East Side area and downtown Seattle, I will easily make a detour to
I remember there
Island
was a really
just to
good
check them out.
travel bookstore on one of the islands. And all they sell is travel books, like in Notting Hill. You know the movie Notting Hill? Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
all they sell. Yeah.
Yeah.
God,
I have
it's been
been
a
there
while
though,
since
but
we've been
yeah.
out that
Yeah.
way. Oh my
But
goodness.
there's again so many that I just
So many.
and I try to make a pilgrimage. We have our independent bookstore day.
Yeah.
Which is late April.
April.
So what we try to do is try to hit every single one within a day, right? Which is a feat. It is a journey. You have to start by at least 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
To do it, but it's been a fantastic thing to do. But this year, they extended it out for a longer period of time, so I had a good chance to try to get all of them, as many of them, multiple times, and it's just been fantastic to hit.
Yeah, that's like my dream vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just, and my husband just puts up with it. He's okay. I'll just be in here. I'll see you in a couple hours. Bye.
Yeah. Everywhere I travel, I
got to stop in a bookstore.
Mm-hmm. I try to find out where the bookstores are. I try to get back to New York quite often. Same type of thing. Even there's New York City or up in Buffalo.
Go to Strand and Word.
Oh yeah.
And
that's a day.
Yes.
That's a day for me. I'm like, I tell people I'm
go up to the rare reading floor.
Yes.
We see all the old books.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I tell people just leave me there. Like they'll go do whatever you want to do. Go see the sights and whatever else. Like go see a show.
New York.
Yeah. Just leave me there.
Now, if we could just do a train ride to all the bookstores, that would be perfect.
Right?
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
And we were talking before we started, like watching YouTube videos of people on trains. And, you know, so then we'd record it and then put it on YouTube, and then we'd be famous because we took a
I'm
train
down.
ride to all the bookstores.
Yeah, I'm down to that. Oh, I love, again, it's just those videos. I just love those. And it's because
Yeah.
they're just so, like, there's something soothing, relaxing,
Yeah.
awesome. And I would just watch mesmerized. I just keep watching like this as the train is going by small towns and just locations. And yeah. There used to be a show in New York, the Buffalo area, that I think came out of Toronto. It was called Night Walk. So if anyone's ever heard of it, let me know. It was this, all it was this person walking around a mall at night. The mall would be closed down, and they walk through a mall, or they walk through an office park, and they just walk, and that was it.
That was
the entire show. And I would watch it almost religiously. It was just, I would just stare at this.
Would it be a different mall every time?
Yeah.
Okay.
It'd be like a different mall. Yeah. Huh. And they just go up the escalator, and you walk down the hall and turn them around and go down the escalator and go to different areas. And I was just like, this is amazing. This is just amazing. I watched this day and day out.
Yeah. All right, Stacy. Well, thank you for doing this. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you as well.
And we have copies of the Saltfields in the store if anybody's interested, and you should read it. And if you are a high school literature teacher, you should pick this up and teach it in class, because you could break this sucker down, and there's just such, yeah. And then if you're doing that, let me know so that I can come, because I need somebody smarter than me to tell me what's going on, like below the surface. Such a smart book. Oh my goodness. Love it. Everybody should read it.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
All right. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.